all night long. So as you can see, like I'm the hottest thing in the picture. I take me out of it. It's going to fluctuate based on whatever's the hottest thing in the screen. So what we're looking for here is obviously the colder spots. So it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be black. It could be an array of orange and yellow, or I'm sorry, red and oranges, and then something yellow comes by. It just means that it's colder. We've caught that before too with some shadow people. So because it's recording, I'm going to ask that you hold it this way all night long. You don't have to stare at it all night. I just need you to hold it. Video camera guy, if you want to watch it, great. If not, you're going to have the full video to watch tomorrow. And it captures audio, so anything that's in the that we don't capture with the regular audio, we have another point of reference to go to it. So it's just a battery pack glued to the back of the cell phone to keep the camera charged. So the camera's only meant to last an hour. So if I do 2 tours a night, like I am tonight, I need 3 hours of video at minimum. So that's why I have the backup camera. You being like the ghost hunting show watcher, I'm going to use the spirit box with you. However, this one's going to be a little different than what you've seen before. This one's made by a company in Florida. They actually have their own shop called Ghost Stop.
I've heard of them.
This is a great little device because first off it records, and that means you get the entire thing back. It doesn't record us, it only records the radio stations that it's going to sweep. So let me set it up for you real quick. And all you really need to know is the one little turnstile button right here just turns the volume up and down. And you know how to use this. I want you to tell me the DJs, the song lyrics, the commercials, whatever you hear, whatever word comes up, that's what we're looking for. And that one, we can kind of calibrate with that. I've only started that, about a minute or two after the video. So now I can calibrate. If we are asking questions, what's happening, we're going to have to go to a timestamp on that only. We're not going to be able to hear us. Does that make sense? And last but not least for you, I'm going to give you the EMFs only because this is our first indicator that things are actually happening. Now, I will explain EMFs very quickly because the TV shows don't normally do a good job. EMFs are basically electromagnetic fields. So there's a natural one from the earth, which is the green, and anything from electronic, let's see if it'll actually do it, probably from the wiring underneath, it'll give off a pulse. So if there's wiring, a cell phone, it's too close, I mean it literally has to be right on top of it. It'll give off a pulse or a rhythm. We don't want the pulse or rhythm. We want something erratic. We want it to be fucking crazy to say, holy shit, what the hell's here? Like, that's really what we're after, because then we can't explain it. I'm not going to make stuff up for you guys. I'm not Zach Bagans. So, but again, I'm already recording with the audio. I do use a few phone apps, which might actually help you guys with your situation at home. So, I do use a backup EMF, so we're not going to pull that up unless I absolutely have to, because batteries do drain, you do know that. But we're going to use the spirit box on my phone. And the reason why we use this, we actually use 2 on my phone. This one will actually give us a list of words. Now this one is from the 93 memorial that I did 2 days ago. So I already have that list for myself, so I'm going to clear that out. And I'm going to start you guys off fresh. Now 80% of this app is absolute bullshit. Doesn't mean anything. It's meant to be a game and a hoax. The other 20%, I get more activity that's relatable to where we are, what's happening with us, our situation with mom, whatever the case might be. Like, I don't want you to tell me anything else about mom. Nothing. Because I don't want to be expectant, because I'm going to have another spirit box on too, that it might give me odd answers that might relate back to you. Now, I don't normally say if you have an agenda. Normally, if I feel like somebody has an agenda on the tour, I'm like, please don't bring it to the tour. Because I've had people come up, Mom, are you there? I'm like, that's not what this is about. But if something does come up, by all means. It's just the 3 of us. Use this tour for whatever you want. If I had a group of 10, it annoys the other 8 people. But it's just us. And this way I can actually help you. So if you want to go into that, I can help you. But again, the word uncle probably means absolutely nothing at this point. So that'll give us a full word list, and you guys will get that word list back, and I'll highlight the 20% of what actually made sense to us. And there's going to be stuff I'm even going to miss. Last but not least, I do use the Reverse Spirit Box app. So this app takes the same radio stations that are on your Spirit Box and what's using them on, and reverses it, and it sounds like complete gibberish. So that way, in the event something comes through forward, we know we were meant to hear it. And this is, you'll hear this on your audio, because I'll have my bag with the audio right here, so you guys will hear this gibberish coming through, and I'll ask it questions. And I try to stay away from yes or no questions. Are you here? You know, those kind of things. So those are the gadgets that I will use on me all night long. I'll keep my phone open, so in case I miss a word, I can always just flip back to the list. So it's pretty easy, and I can run both apps at the same time. So it's going to play both of them. It's hard to hear out here a little bit, but when you get it to your audio, you hear the questions that I'm asking, and it'll make a whole hell of a lot more sense. So, now again, it's not going to be dark, but I wouldn't go something during the daytime in Pennsylvania for 5 days.
Well, I told you, it was the middle of the day, like the sun just came up, and I heard that. It doesn't matter.
It'd be like still daylight when we're hearing things.
But,
right.
But the 3:30 thing at the house, I don't know what the fuck it is. I wake up every night.
We both do.
What it is.
That's something in the house. There's just something about the 3 o'clock hour.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
So I'll wake up and I'll slap her. I'm like, guess what time it is?
Especially if you're getting like 333, those meanings are triple digits.
Yeah.
So start paying attention. I even make a log. Put a little notepad next to your bed or something. That way you can keep track.
At nighttime it cuts night vision on, so it's all, you can kind of tell a lot. You can't see stuff in the daytime, but nighttime when it does the infrared, I guess you can see the orbs better in the infrared. I don't know.
I don't use any of it. I use that.
Yeah, the thermal.
Yep.
It's weird, like when I'm out there hunting, like mine's not a phone, it's an actual scope, and you don't see shit out there. It's nothing. And I got PVS 14. You don't know if you know what that is. It's a military grade monocular made for military. I use IR lasers that shoot 1,000 yards. So we'll be in there with Tech 14s and thermals out there in the field. You don't see shit out in the field except animals. And you might sit out there all night and see a bird, maybe a coyote come out, a rabbit. You don't see nothing out there, but you're in the middle of the field most of the time.
Hey guys,
I got nothing on me, buddy. Sorry.
Yeah, you sit out there. It's weird. You don't see. I don't really want to do around the house just 'cause I don't want to stir. I always hear you can stir shit up if you start.
Well, if you don't know what you're doing either. And I'm not saying you don't know what you're doing, but you probably don't know what you're doing.
And I got that Xbox 360. It's got the Wii on it.
Yeah.
You know, it's got laser crap on there. I don't even want to cut that thing on in there.
Well, I use those too.
Oh, do you? Yep. I don't even want to cut it on to see why. I fuck with her all the time. I was like, I'll cut that thing on and see if there's anything in here. But I don't want to see it if it is in there. You know, I'm living there.
I got two that I use. I use a green one, just like the Xbox, and then I got a red grid box, and it creates squares.
Yeah.
So the reason for the squares is if we catch something, I can take it and put it in a 3D software, and we'll have a full 3D image of whatever we caught.
What it was.
Yeah, so it's really cool. We haven't caught anything with it yet, but I've only been using it for a little over a month.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
Human.
Well, again, stomach stirring.
Yeah. I've been sweating. I'm fat.
Man. This place used to be called Big John's. Big John was named after a football player, John Kennedy, 1947 Giants. I had to look that shit up because I don't follow sports. So John used to sit in the back of the bar and nod off to the bartender about the cadets that would come in from the Citadel, if they were of age or not. One night he pissed off two guys, they weren't old enough, they left, they come back the next night, they steal the register from the front of the bar. Big John pulls out his 45 and he kills them. The bullet hole is still there.
Damn.
So just like I'm kind of being affected now, if you guys are feeling anything, you need to let me know. Because I've had people pass out, I've had witches come on the tour and not tell me, and then all of a sudden they're not on the tour anymore because it's too much.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Again, I'm already kind of being a little affected, and I normally don't put my emotions into it, but again, my stomach has been fine for about 3 days, and all of a sudden I come out here again and my stomach's turning again.
Yeah.
Something's not right. So I don't normally put my emotions into it. You can listen to every other tour. I normally don't. But this, for some odd reason, the past, since I got that food poisoning, it's been bad. I mean, I had to obviously quarantine for COVID testing, but when I got back to work, it was kind of like as soon as I was fine for a day or two, and I come down here, and the stomach just starts all over again. So if you catch me off in a corner, I say, excuse me a minute, I'm going to be yakking in a bush. This is just too much.
You get it down here, like eating seafood or something?
No.
Okay, I eat that. We've been eating seafood down
I don't eat out, ever. It's rarely that I eat out. Let's change the topic of food. I don't want to think about it. But the other thing here is if you guys took your carriage tour, you probably heard that there was a big earthquake.
Yeah.
1886, we had the earthquake bolts. The first death occurred here. So the mantling that rides along the front also goes to the front. A piece of it fell, killed somebody. His ghost used to be seen in the front of the building. So we start here for a reason. I like to warn people about their feelings and their, heavy feelings, that kind of thing. But again, if you guys aren't feeling well, you have to speak up. It's a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
I also think I'm gonna just carry the audio piece with me. because I don't want to carry this heavy bag while I'm feeling like this. I know I've already said hang on 1 second, but you guys are going to probably get more pieces of the tour just because it's just the 3 of us. So you guys are going to get some extra locations anyway. So I'm actually going to go throw this in my car. Is this too damn buggy?
Yeah.
I just don't want to carry it.
That's too fun. What you think?
That's a shitty thermal kind of, yeah, it's all blobby. So it's not a true thermal. I say, hey Jeff. I say, hey guys. $1.20, what do you say? Scroll through radio frequencies.
Alright. Let's go grow some.
Alright.
Thank you for being patient.
No, you're good. Well, see, my mom,
Don't talk about it.
she loved this stuff, so that's why we're doing it.
See if she comes through. I don't even want to know her name. Like, I want to see if it pops up. So a couple things I normally point out right here. The Crew Cafe is haunted. That's the yellow building over there, yellowish white.
Yeah.
They've asked me to do a full investigation, kind of like what I did up in PA. COVID, thank you very much for interrupting everything. And also history buffs, if you see the stop sign down there, Revolutionary War, we're really close to the water, but also remember that the water used to be much closer
Yeah.
because the outside of the peninsula is man-made. They shoot a cannon and it lands right there at the stop sign. No deaths, no tragedies, just a cool little piece of history. This is the barn where they keep the horses where you guys took your buggy from before. Did you guys have to come here or did you take another company?
Because the other one, the polo one.
Okay, Polo's good too. They're all good actually. But the
Well, I
funny-
knew about the horse incident with them.
yeah, there's been the past year. There's been actually a couple. Not with this particular group, but just in Charleston in general. There's been horse
Yeah, there
issues.
was like a really big controversy
Yeah.
about it.
So the ponies are still in there. Normally, when it's much darker, 9 o'clock or after, I tell people with the lasers, no lasers inside the barn because you don't want to get them stirred up. Also with that spirit box, if you can keep it somewhat at just at a listenable, audible level, so that way you're not disturbing them either. But this is the same red barn that they kept the horses that used to deliver milk to Charleston. So that kind of ages it for you a little bit. We're talking 1860s and 1920s. But this lot is usually like my practice sessions with the whole team. So if I have a team of 10, I kind of bounce around everybody. It's haunted as shit, but I don't have any other story other than the red barn is old. That's all I got. But it's a good place for you to get a good gist of different temperatures. You got different, types of material in here between the brick, cement walls. You got the tin metal. That way you can kind of get a gist of it. You can start asking questions on your spirit box. Just like I said, no yes or no questions. It's already going to record. If you hear something, obviously we should all know. And your timestamp on your video might look like it's stopped, but that's because you moved it a couple of times already, so it doesn't like kick back on. But it is still recording as long as that red square is still there.
Okay.
If it turns into a circle, then hit it again, and you'll just have 2 videos I have to splice together. Not a big deal. But again, your EMF sometimes it will knock way over here. Sometimes it waits until we're leaving. We never know what's going to happen in here. My spirit box is kind of an extra in this place. I can kind of help out, and I try to stay with the people with the spirit boxes because some people don't know how to listen to it. But it seems like you've watched enough TV shows and listened to those, because especially Ghost Adventures, they just play them over and over and over again. But again,
No Ghost Adventures, there's a few of them.
Yeah.
Ghost Asylum.
right. I haven't
Ghost
watched that
Town.
one yet.
Ghost Town's pretty good.
I think I watched Ghost Town when they did like the mines in some city, just to kind of check it out, because I stopped watching those shows because they glorify everything, and this isn't what this is about. So I don't try to get that in my head, like, oh wow, I need to be like Zach and make the demon go in me and shit. Like, no, that's not what this is.
I hate that.
But this is true life, what I actually do. When I
The
watch,
only thing that we really think is the most funniest is that in the beginning he would always put Aaron by himself. now it's changed to the other one. You can
Yeah.
And
you
Ghost
just take a
Ghost
photo.
Brothers is horrible.
Ghost Brothers.
Ghost Brothers,
I've heard of it, never watched it.
they run out of every situation. They just
There's so many of them, like they're curious and they're, you know,
But
they
they
want
don't
to.
know them. They don't know how to cook.
Right. But again, we deal with this every night.
And you can't
Anything to bring up, yeah?
something was talking a while ago. She had a couple voices come through there a while ago. It was skipping through radio stations and
Yeah.
started. What did it say? It said somebody's name.
10 for, or like a one for $1, or two for 10, two for 20 or something.
Something. It's just something weird.
I always tell people, think of that gadget as Bumblebee from Transformers.
Yeah.
It talks through the radio. Especially if I give it to a kid, they don't understand what they're listening for. So like, all I keep hearing is radio stations like, that's what you need to tell me. So I can't understand what it means, blah, blah, blah. So, but again, let's just kind of stroll through this. I mean, you guys, it's a small group, obviously, so we can kind of get a gist of like how everything works. But I do get like some weird things on this wall right over here. I do know a story that's happened in that building. I just haven't verified any activity from that story yet to be able to really tell it. So it's a sad, recent story of a suicide. So it's kind of one of those, I want to verify activity from it first. And I just now learned it. Now the weird thing about this spot too is that there's a sewer underneath us. So there's nothing that should make that EMF go off. There's an electrical box outside the barn over there. We have that pole over there, but nothing is strong enough to actually give us a signal way over here.
Yeah.
And again,
Flashing.
and this whole lot is just completely random. I don't know where the spot's going to come up at. So we can ask questions like, you got your spirit box up, and it's literally, who's with us? Give me your name. You know, it's that kind of mentality. That's what we're looking for. Who do we have with us? Because this spot, I never know. I mean, damn cicadas are going to kill our audio. That's what that is. That's all the cicadas up in the tree.
Oh yeah, that's pretty loud.
It's going to kill our audio. Again, the fact that you have something right here, I would normally get the grids out. I would have the person with the camera come over. Let's film this area. That's what I would normally do. See if there's any cold spots, anything that's lighter than us.
What is your name? Where are you going to?
The next thing I'll do is I try to stick to the same question for at least 2 to 3 minutes. So literally ask it over and over again. Like every 30 seconds, ask it again. What's your name? What's your name? 30 seconds go by. Tell us what your name is. And we never know where the answer's going to come up. They might come up here. We might separate. I could go up there and ask a question. We got a whole bunch of words already. And that upstairs, that's where I got the EMF and the pain. Or in the cafe over there, the Cook Cafe. I got the EMF detection upstairs in the bathroom.
What is your name?
They're gonna call me. He's a friend. I put all those or whatever's here, like comedy friendly. Have that happen. No problem.
What is your name?
When did you die? What year did you die? How did you die?
When did you die?
Did you get shot in the head? You were standing? What is your name?
Let's go on ahead and up this way.
It stopped flashing. It's something to get back.
Oh, it's going ballistic.
Again, you never know what's going to happen in this one.
I mean, it's going way up right here.
Cops are out everywhere.
Got another one.
Looks like it's just turning around.
Uh-oh.
That one's over a few times.
Uh-oh. Get her.
They're not supposed to be parking over there. Alright, let's turn that down for a minute. We're going to go hang out in the parking lot for a minute. And we don't need to be looking suspicious.
No one out. Looks like it's following.
Do what?
Said I'm actually over like 3 different feet.
So we'll stay out of his view for just a moment. This is our next location. I promise it won't be parking lots all night long. But this is actually the Pinckney Mansion site. So the Pinckney Mansion site was home to Charles and Eliza Pinckney. And they were important because they had a son named Charles and they had a nephew named Charles who signed the Constitution. So the son and the nephew named Charles were Eliza loves for me to tell her story. Now, we do have lines around us, and I've tested all of them, and you can go up to them and get a very strong reading. None of them should be giving us enough reading to go all the way up to red way over here. So the other unique thing about this place is Eliza Pinckney. Eliza was the founder of our indigo crops. So the indigo crops are what saved us after our rice plantations went to hell. So with that being said, is that pot following us around?
Yeah.
I hate looking over my shoulder about this mask thing. I really do. So indigo actually gives us blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. We still use it today. But our cash crop of rice plantations pretty much went to hell. So we need another crop. She married Charles. Wow, that thing is going nuts. She married Charles so that she could stay here in the States. Her dad was sick and he wanted her home because he thought he was dying. She didn't want to go, so she married Charles, and that's when they had all their kids. They had 4 kids. But he started sending her gifts. Now, the mansion would have been in the front. The garden would have been lined up with that blue dumpster, and the slave homes would have been back here where we're standing. That's kind of how all that went. This was the layout of the land. Something happened to the building. I'm going to let you find out what that is, but we can't be kind of conspicuous in here because it's a little bit more daylight. People do get a little weird about us being around their cars when they come out, and just be mindful it is a parking lot, so cars will come in and out. But at the same token, she had one of the plants that Dad sent over was that indigo plant. So if you hear indigo on any of your other tours or any other place that you go to when you're down here, it all started right here. Even though the crop was moved to another plantation,
Yeah.
this is where it started. So this is super important in Charleston, and nobody ever talks about it. And not to mention, we're talking colonial times, 1760s, when women were kind of in their place. They were barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen. She was the businesswoman that sold indigo overseas because she already had connections over there with her dad. Yeah. So a lot of money came out of that Pinckney family. And actually, the street that we started on was the corner of East Bay and Pinckney. So
We've been in Pinckney all day.
yeah. So I mean, you're gonna hear that name all the time down here. I usually give the group a couple of fun facts to look for. She had 4 kids. Only one of them was a daughter. Find out what the daughter's name was. Find out what happened with the house. Again, stay with me if you have some more questions with the spirit box in here. But we kind of keep it somewhat close to you, just so that we're not looking like a bunch of hood rats looking to steal somebody's car. At nighttime, when the bars are hopping, it's a little different. Nobody really pays attention to us. But during the somewhat daylight hours, people are going to be looking like, what the hell are they doing in there? But this is if I were to actually have a grand finale, this would be it. You're going to find weird spots with that only because it has the cars, when they pull in, they project heat downwards, and in between is going to look ice cold. So if a car leaves, that spot's still going to be warm. But at the same token, if one of the car spaces has been empty for a while, that's going to look ice cold. So we never know what we're going to capture on that audio. I can usually capture, yeah, it'll leave a handprint. I did get the word drone, relevant, just since we've been here. Researcher.
What was that one?
Which one? So since we've been here, it started at say, and it worked its way up. So I will literally, through my audio, talk to...
Well, head is...
It came up over there.
Yeah.
Again, I never know what I'm getting over there. So sometimes it's relevant. Sometimes it's just somebody that's not happy with us being there. So I move people along pretty quickly.
Yeah.
That's happened to me twice. I've been doing this store over a year, and only 2 times has that lot ever said, pretty much, get the fuck out. Where I said, okay, we all gotta go. This particular lot has only let me down 3 times. That's a good sign. The nights that there's no activity here is usually a sign for me of everything else that I've captured here to show, like, hey, this place is haunted as shit. They're actually going to put a commercial hotel here, which is sad because we're going to lose out on all the artifacts underneath. They're not going to do an archaeological dig.
I think that's what it did in Charlotte, like on Trade and Tryon. You know, that's like one of the major trade routes back in Civil War, and now it's a major intersection. It's the dead center of downtown Charlotte.
Wow.
So I was just, you know, them big tall skyscrapers, they had to dig down the foundation, and I'm pretty sure they didn't give a shit. They just dug it.
Yep. And they didn't even pull anything out.
That area used to be really bad for prostitution.
Oh wow. Yeah, I don't think we have that problem here. But I would say let's kind of walk together in a group. Let's listen to your spirit box. Just like I said, it's just enough to be audible. We'll just kind of do like maybe 2 laps around this lot. Normally, at nighttime, there's a light on the back of that 5 Church Street restaurant, and it's usually, sometimes it stays on, sometimes it's not on at all, and other times it's flickering. And normally, if it's flickering, it goes in sync with whatever's happening on the EMF. It's the eeriest thing in the world. It's like the energy from here is affecting that light as well. Yeah, let's listen to yours just as we kind of scroll through and see what we find.
Feeling something.
I just heard I'm sorry.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Okay. Liza, you want to tell me what happened to your house? Conservative. So there was a fire, and the whole front right, like the top portion of the house, caught fire and pretty much damaged the whole thing. Luckily, they had other places to go to around Charleston because they had other plantations. But that's usually what I wait for here is fire, burn, even to work candle to tell me, like it's just trying to tell me that a fire occurred here, if that makes sense. So, but I mean, I get activity up here, but the last time, was the week before I went on vacation, I was getting a lot of activity like right below where the fire occurred. I was kind of like, alright, anything out up there, but again, this lot is a little weird. We usually use a digital camera too, you know, the guests can take pictures, they load orbs, those kind of things. But
I got my high-end camera too.
I was going to tell you too, if you wanted to take pictures, just stay away from the lot. You know, if you wanted to give them to me to upload to the Facebook page for evidence, if you actually capture something, I would just cut people out because I don't want to have everybody sign waivers. It's just how I do things. But I tell the guest who gets the camera, don't, just make sure there's no people in the pictures. I can be in them, but nobody else. It's kind of the rule. Yeah, you can see like there's no rhythm, there's no pattern to that. It's going just berserk all over the whole lot. And honestly, there's nothing here. I mean, we have these lines, which actually, now that I can see them in the daytime, go ahead and put your EMF like right next to that pole, so I can. It's obviously dead. What about the outlet? Okay, we got a little bit of a signal from the outlet.
But not that much.
Yeah.
It was flashing red over there.
Yeah, it was getting all the way up to red. I heard Mama.
So I'll turn mine up for a second. Let me turn this down because it's going to continue to record anyway. So let's listen to mine and see if we can actually get anything. Eliza, did you bring your daughter with you? If you did, tell us her name. Daughter's name was Harriet. Give this another minute. I want to make sure we get to the next location. Where that. It looks what? I heard it looks. Yeah, Liza, can you tell me how many of us there are? Can you give us a number? Thunder? Do you hear thunder? I want you to tell me how many of us you see. How many of us are here?
I heard 3.
Did you hear 3?
It sounded like 3.
on, tell us how many there are. Back in a little while. I see. Let's go on to the next location. We're going to be walking on East Bay. It's going to be somewhat busy. So let's just make sure we have that handy unless you're drinking or smoking.
No.
Get any weird spots?
I was looking at that, but it might just be silhouette off that pipe. Kind of weird.
Well, the white lines, because when you see it calibrate, it's trying to find like the objects so it can put those white lines around it. So we're gonna actually head out this way.
Oh, weird. Fucking no.
What you guys thought it was going to be?
I mean, it's something similar.
Actually, you can let them pass. Oh, you're good. I didn't want to blow smoke in your face behind us.
Thank you.
No, that thing detects that. Look at that.
Yeah.
Where else have you guys been?
Well, right now we're staying on Isle of Palms, and we went to the fort today.
Oh, nice.
And we've been here.
That's where Edgar Allan Poe was stationed.
That I do know.
What's that?
Edgar Allan Poe was stationed there
Which one?
at the fort that we were by today.
Something over that thing?
No.
Or
Fort's-
Washington.
yeah, he was actually at Fort Moultrie. I want to say Fort Moultrie is on Sullivan's Island.
Yeah. I like it.
They have it closed off the middle of the market, and all the vendors go to the windows now. So you go on, you meet with the vendors on the outside of the street.
I know we're getting our stuff done.
Yeah.
So you guys didn't do, well, you guys did the buggy tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the buggy. Are you guys planning on doing any other tours? How long you staying?
We're doing one more tour after this.
Okay. Which store is that?
One of the storage stores, I think it is. Is that storage store?
Well, this is stores in the cemetery.
No, there's another one I was gonna do that we were doing.
Probably from Bulldog.
It's over by the water park.
Yeah, I think so.
They do. Yeah,
Don't pay it. Yeah, don't pay anything. On your next ghost tour anyway? Some of these are just passing by to see what we can hear, capture on the video, of course on the audio and the speaker boxes.
So it's kind of cool moving around the city, learning all about your research, seeing the sites that you're on, monuments that were put up.
So how long have you been investigating?
I've still got to get some light. About 10 years. Myrtle Beach is straight 2 hours north of here. That's where my daughter lives with her. Yeah, it's about 2.5 hours from here. But it's straight north. To get from Myrtle Beach to Charlotte, it's probably still 3 hours.
Yeah.
Because to get out of Myrtle Beach, it's a nightmare.
Yeah. God forbid. Yeah, originally that's what we were planning on going. Made the decision.
I think hurricane just poured up.
Well, Oak Island is where we were up there.
This is Lodge Mountain. This is one of the oldest streets in Charleston. The cool thing about this particular alley is people used to live here. So whatever comes up on my spirit box with names. Now your EMF is going to go a little crazy because of the Magnolia restaurant next to us. My main focus here is usually in pictures. At night with shadows, we get different orbs that pop up through here. We've had some thermal imaging that was unexplainable through here. I also look for names that come up on spirit box. I would normally stop the whole group about right up there by that gate. We're just going to keep walking real slow, like kind of how we are. The cobblestones, the bricks you're walking on, these are actually made out of clay. The people that used to live here were of the lower class because they found artifacts in between the bricks. There was like the silverware, some articles of clothing, those kind of things. So that way they were able to tell what kind of class they were in. So
That's weird.
the Lodge Alley Inn actually is
So it would stay like this the whole time.
yeah, it's pretty steady. So every once in a while if it flips up to red is when I get excited, but I don't get that too often down here. I just like coming down here for when it's dark. This is great ambiance. It's one of the oldest streets we have. There's great history here. I have gotten some names in this place that match up to the residents that used to live here. So forth and so on. But they claim to have their own ghosts, but nothing is really verified or Charleston related. So I don't really talk about them too much. But we caught some, I had a shadow show up on a photograph here. And on the thermal imaging, I had the full figure of a yellowish person. Remember I told you it doesn't necessarily have to be blue spot or cold. It was just colder than the rest of the wall.
Probably even down there, huh?
And it wasn't any of us, because they were all behind me. So it was kind of crazy. Ooh, feeling that stomach issue again, popping up. Curious. You hear that? So the name Benjamin pops up here a lot.
Are you watching us? Are you watching us? Is that a no? Are you trying to talk to us? Talk to us. Let us know you're here. This is Jessica. Touch Jessica.
Well, we don't usually do the touch thing. We usually say Jessica's name. Like if one of the kids is like, I don't believe you. All right, say little Billy's name then. So you can see what we get popping up. Carter. When we walk through this neighborhood, we're going to be in a neighborhood. So we're going to be three friends ghost hunting. Because ghost tour guides can't be tour guides in neighborhoods. But we're going to cut through a quick one anyway. It's really hot and I'm sweating like crazy. Like I feel like I'm like a little dizzy. So I want to get me out of here if you guys don't mind. The next location is pretty popular. That's St. Philip's Church, the tallest steeple that we have. You can see obviously the big steeple up there. But we're about to go into Philadelphia Alley, which can be crowded at times. There's some tours, you're going to probably see it on your next tour too. But with ours, like I'll give you the quick skinny of the story. But after that, it's going to be, you're going to get a big, elaborate thing. Like if you guys going on another tour tonight? Okay, so after, you're probably going to come here. This is going to be a big finale. The story of the doctor that moved down here from New Jersey. He was supposed to get married. His fiance disinherited a bunch of money from a dead parent. Lawyer said no. Actually, we'll stop out here. That way I don't have to wear a mask. But the doctor said no. So, the doctor moved down here to start his practice to prove that it wasn't just after her money. The coachman sets him up to be robbed and killed. Says, drops him off in the back part of town. Somebody passing by, his name was Ralph Isaacs, says, you don't want to stay here, let me take you somewhere else. So, he takes him over to 59 Church Street, which is in that direction. It's about a mile and a half. That's great for your audio. That's nice and memorable. So, at any rate, what was that? So, the two become friends, Ralph and the doctor. However, the doctor became higher in the hierarchy because his business is doing well, and he used to whistle all the time because he was happy about it. Amanda was coming down, his fiance, they were going to get married. The two used to go see plays together, Ralph and the doctor. They used to have to sit in different seats because they're on different ends of the spectrum. So they used to have to talk about the plays on the way home. One night after seeing Richard III, they were talking about one of the new actresses that was in town. The doctor loved her, Ralph did not. They got into an argument. And it turned into an insult party on the doctor's fiance back home. The two got pissed at each other, they go their separate ways. Ralph, being a regular Charlestonian, writes something in the paper about how the doctor's a disgrace to Charleston. The doctor didn't like that. So what'd you do? We're going to come down here to Dueler's Alley, and we're going to duel it out.
That's where he shot him in the leg or something?
Right.
Okay.
So they take the 20 paces, the doctor shoots his gun in the air, he just wanted to make a point. However, Ralph took 2 shots, depending on which story you read, and his friends pick him up and take him over to his house on 59 Church Street. Now, there is a gate just to the right of that entranceway where the loser of the duel would normally go through the gate and straight to their grave over at St. Philip's. And then the rest of the people would go celebrate the winner and have a drink. Well, that didn't happen. So the doctor dies 10 days later at his home. It is said as you walk through the alley, you can hear the whistle from the doctor. You can also hear gunshots from the many duels. Now, there's 2 cool traits about the alley. First off, it started off as Cow Alley, then Dueler's Alley, and it's now known as Philadelphia Alley. Cow Alley because that's where they kept their livestock. And then they had, obviously, Dueler's Alley because that's where they took place. And when that became illegal, Philadelphia bailed us out of one of our many, many fires. So that way, they renamed it after Philadelphia. So I told you about the gate, but down at the end of the alley this way, it's residential, and we're going to walk it. But there's a, those bricks down there are actually, I always forget the term for this. The slave kids had to turn them. They were sun-dried. That's what it is.
Okay.
So they didn't have brick ovens to dry the bricks. So they actually literally had to turn them every hour. And you can see their fingerprints and there's one handprint down at the end. But it is residential, so we kind of have to move quickly. I'll point it out, but we got to move on, and we'll go left.
Okay.
So let's walk through the alley. Your spirit box, if there's tours in there, turn it down when we're cutting through the tours. And obviously mask you up for the tours, like when we're cutting through them. You guys will probably have to wear your mask the whole time. I mean, that's what I'm just telling you. They're not going to be as lenient as me.
Probably need more people.
Yeah. Well, again, maximum of 10. I'm solidly booked for my next tour too. There's 10 people on that tour.
Yeah, I was looking at that. I was like, damn, one to one late at night.
There's the gate. And here comes another tour. See, I told you it's a very popular spot. You guys are going to end up coming through here eventually. Normally, because even though we're, a block and a half away from East Bay Street, that real busy street, this is what it sounds like in the morning. It's also what it sounds like at night. Nice and quiet. Hopefully the audio will pick up any kind of whistling. I've been able to catch 2 whistles where I wasn't able to debunk it over the past year, so that's a good positive sign. But again, this is a very peaceful place to be. Man, the cicadas are out tonight. They're going to kill my audio.
Alright guys, you want to go ahead and line up against that wall for me, please?
You've made it thus far. You all made the first stop. Good job, everybody. I will keep you counting as I share some nice pictures.
That's her. This light up here is not a motion light, and yet it keeps like flashing on my 9 o'clock tours whenever I pass through here. I don't know why. I've caught it 4 times.
Well, ours flashes all the time.
But my year of doing this, I've never seen it do that. So it's just kind of odd that it all of a sudden just started.
Well, the one will sit there and flash outside constantly.
That's Power Pro.
Yeah, you did wire it yourself.
Well, I didn't do that until after the roofers.
You can see as the bricks get older, more fingerprints here. Yeah, these are people's homes. Just this one lonely guy that lives here right now. This whole giant house.
Oh.
Yeah. A lot of money here in Charleston. But you can see there's some prominent fingerprints, like that swipe there, and when you just stepped over, and then a full handprint is right here. Yeah, those are in 3 different locations around Charleston. Here, Drayton Hall, and boom. Let's see where we're at on time. And let's see what words we just got. Hung, no. So we're going to say that started with T, device. The hung actually relates to where we're going. I want to check the time. So we can. We're at 8:06. Okay, so we'll tell you. Look, let's go down here and I'll tell you like 3 different stories. How about that? Because there's a lot that relates to this area too. All right, let's go.
Fun. I like it.
So, your house.
I think that's what we're going on that.
Have you guys eaten out at all down here?
Oh, yeah, we just ate while here.
Pizza. That's why we were just like, all right, let's. I was like, it's almost 7. Let's get over there.
So there's a restaurant like 2 blocks up from where we came out of the alley. We'll stop here. Because we talk about this building right here. So 2 blocks up from where we came out of is a place called Poogan's Porch. And it's one of our most haunted locations here in the area. A lady named Zoe St. Amand owned it, and that's where her house was. She was a school teacher here in town, talking late 1800s. And the reason why that's relevant is because that sort of there also takes place like mid 1800s, so almost the same time period. But she died by falling down the stairs. So sometimes when I'm looking into that building, I'll get her name because Zoe is spelled differently. It's Z-O-E, not Z-O-E-Y, and that's come up a couple times. I got the word stairs. I've asked her what kind of business, did her house get turned into. She'll tell me restaurant, food, plate, those kind of things. Because it is like a breakfast and lunch place now. It's almost like a cafe. That's funny too. So, Coogan is actually the neighborhood dog from that place. That's why it's named. She used to feed that dog all the time, so that's why it's named Coogan's Porch, because he used to hang out there. It wasn't his house, just everybody loved him. But if you ever go there, there's actually a memorial for the dog outside the restaurant. And there's a couple different Coogans. There's a Coogan's Courtyard, there's a Coogan's something else, I forget what it is, something new, and then we have Coogan's Porch, the original. But this building is actually the Wagner building. This was part of our cotton industry. Not a lot of those tourists talk about this place either. Like, you just heard that girl say Philadelphia Alley was her first stop. She passed this up because she probably started her people at Pineapple Park, which is right across the street from the Wagner building. The Wagner building, the last guy who owned it, George Pereira, he actually inherited it from his dad. He had no idea what he was doing. None. So he got himself into a bunch of debt. That's why I got the word credit, and I kind of chuckled. Because he had, again, silver spoon kid, dad never taught him anything, he died, kid got the business. We also had the boll weevil in town, which is a bug